Welcome to Global Morning.
The death toll from flooding.
Most time our politicians just bring in policies too, for sure.
Incidentally, we have several more stories.
The legislature was carefully crafted to
22.2% inflation rates as of April this year. What does that say about where we are as a country?
I think Nigeria has resorted to being resilient.
Before you call the police station, before they even leave, they'll take permission from
I don't think there's really anything on ground to improve.
the struggle, the ASU strike.
The Minister of Education volunteered and said, give me 2 weeks.
It was a lie. The president never gave me any deadline.
It is a Sunday morning, and of course, that is signature to the fact that this is Global Morning here on Global Television, where we bring you what really is trending in the country, and of course, catching you up with the newspaper, Sunday newspaper in the country today. But very much to say that it's still a weekend. Happy resting at home, the hours you're spending at home. Mindful to the fact that few hours you have to be at work tomorrow. But it's still a joy of the weekend, having to do so many things at home, cook and wash, do some cleaning, and all of those house cares. It's what really makes the weekend fun. But I felt that we must bring you what you really need to catch up with in the country, mindful for the fact that several events in the country has been ongoing. Yesterday marked the end of the 10 days protest carried out by some Nigerians who felt the economic hardship in the country ought to be addressed. They hit the streets to demand that government must pay attention to their demands. And yesterday marks in the low key. We had monitored closely what was happening in Lagos, what was happening in some other part of the country. We saw compliances by both the security agencies and the protesters. But in a way, it is never enough if we must begin to count on the impacts, the fact that the protests, the demands of the protesters, has this really been addressed? These are the questions that are still lingering on the street. What is government saying in respect to the dialogue they had proposed for the protesters? So we still keep our eyes watching to know the development of the country as far as the Tinubu's led administration is concerned. We just want a country that works for us. This is the only country we have, so we must also do well to promote peace and unity at all time. And of course, we must give it kudos to the peaceful protesters. I mean, looking at the 10 days, it was marking with all lots of events. Sometimes the incidences of looting, incidences of clash with the security agencies, the incidences of having to react negatively as well about both the government and both the protesters and the security agencies. All of these were what really marked the last 10 days. It created tension in the state. It created tensions in some regions. There was a tension where some people were having to make impact all of this. So these are the issues that really marked in the last 10 days. But I mean, thank God it's Sunday. Thank God all of that is over, and we are having to face another reality again moving forward in the country. That's what we'll be also highlighting, looking at the papers today. What is the newspapers saying this morning? What are the issues raised? What are the concerns by stakeholders and all the players in the country? We'll bring you the newspaper, of course. Afterwards, we'll make some reviews and have some interactions and discussion on the program today. Thanks so much for joining us and tuning in on Global Television. We'll go on a break, and once we return from the break, we'll bring you the newspaper. Just stay with us. Sunday dailies, of course, are the papers this morning coming in. Let's begin with the Sunday Independent. The Sunday Independent newspaper this morning. The big story right there is stakeholders outline priorities for FG as protesters regroup. This is on page 2 of the Sunday Independent newspaper. Right after the story says call for policy review, rollout of hunger eradication measures, canvas eliminations of lavish lifestyle by public servant leakages. That is on the big story right there, the Sunday Daily. We have other story. Enforce the PIA Act. Dangote urges NUPRC, that is Nigerian Upstream Petroleum Regulatory Commission. You can actually get that story on page 7 of the Sunday Independence paper. Ekpa warns Anyako against sabotaging Biafran independence. This is on page 2 of the Sunday Independent newspaper. Tension in Ondo community over New Yam Festival. Flying Russian flag, youth not happy with Tinubu's administration, analyst. Right after the story say fifth columnist at work to embarrass government. Insist culprit fares full width of law. Economic crunch. FG urged to fish off all cabal and saboteurs. Edopo, Akpata disagree on state date profile, FDI. That's on the page 6 of the Sunday Independence newspaper. And of course, we have other catching up with all the stories like the This Day newspaper, This Day, Sunday This Day has it as the big story right there. Air Chief reads the riot act to agents of violence, says military duty bound to defend democracy. On This Day newspaper, we also have other stories. Government earlier affirms as police confirm killings of 15 in Benue. And the last story right there on This Day, peace returns as protesters shun nationwide 1 million march. Right after the stories, DHQ vows to counter subversive actions disguised as protests. Police disperse protesters in Abuja, arrest 5 in Ondo. Around Plateau youth met with Governor Bufang, demand accountability. That's it on This Day newspaper. On now to the Sunday Tribune. Sunday Tribune newspaper, big story right there. Violent protests. Why the North is angry. Right to the story says fears gamble on Tinubu's presidency has not paid off. Hunger. Number of employable youth growing. Protests in the North, not just about hunger, but region interests. Ex-Reps member, others. We'll bring you that reactions and, of course, a proper analysis to that issues raised there. And I will also have still on the Sunday Tribune, Nigerians stripped of dignity, humanity during Buhari's 8-year rule. Plateau governor. That's on page 2 of the Sunday Tribune. Our security agencies should tell us those stealing our oil. Elumelu. Ryder says give support for young Nigerians seeking greener pasture abroad. Says I don't live for myself and family alone. That is Lumelu reacting to the State of the Nations on page 20 of the Sunday Tribune. You can ask the vendor so you can get proper details. But I mean, analysis will get to cover out of these reactions as well. End bad governance. Protesters ran off tax Tinubu on economic challenges. At page 2 of the Sunday Tribune newspaper. That we also have many reactions as tension in the Ondo community over the New Yam Festival on page 4 of the on the Sunday Tribune paper this morning. And now let's get over to Sunday Vanguard. On Sunday Vanguard, big story, hunger in the land. Confusion over 740 truckloads of rice palliative for 36 states. And Abuja, you can find the story on page 12. Oftentimes, issues of palliative have been raised, and government have also been reacting closely on that distribution to states. I mean, we'll bring also proper analysis to these issues raised right there on the Sunday Vanguard paper. NLC rejects police explanation of raid on headquarters. Page 5 of the Sunday Vanguard. Protesters threaten to return as demonstration ends 10 days after. Why the North is angry, join protests. Page 7 of the Sunday Vanguard. Battle for Biafra moves to the U.S. as Simon Ekpa signs $205 million lobby deal. Anxiety amid Senate probe of oil industry sabotage claims. You can find this story on page 3 of the Sunday Vanguard. Also have billionaire kidnappers, police unmarked sharpshooters last operation in Lagos supermarket. Of course, we have other couple of writers to many stories right at the Sunday Vanguard, but let's now get over to the Sunday Times. On the Sunday Times this morning, we have the big story is sabotage. How foreign interests are impeding productivity in Nigeria's oil industry. How foreign interests are impeding productivity in Nigeria's oil industry. Experts advocate innovative ways to address food inflation. You can get that story on the page 3 of the Sunday Times. Anxiety in LG councils as EFCC launches probe into financial transactions. Still under the Sunday Times, we have 2024 Paris Olympics Nigerian athletes return without a medal. We are duty-bound to defend our democracy. CS react. Then we have a good couple of other reactions right there at the Sunday Times. But let me get to be joined by a public affairs analyst. Of course, as we rightly be taking some of these papers, many reactions, and of course, proper analysis to the stories right there at the paper properly. Ezema James, a public affairs analyst, is live here in the studio to give us more insight on the papers this morning. Good morning, great Ezema.
Good morning.
I wanted to give you a chieftaincy title. Maybe probably when next we'll go to your village, we'll do that properly.
that would be okay.
Thanks so much for finding time to join us this morning.
Thank you very much.
A couple of stories right there on the papers are very much striking is about the sabotage in the oil sector. And you understand the fact that, I mean, almost all the papers are having that as a big story. It's an issue because what is really fueling these protests and the anger by some Nigerians is the fact that there is more to subsidy. There is what people are not saying. There's what governments are not communicating. There are concerns. To your analysis, the back and forth, Dangote, our own local refineries, NNPC saying to start production, reactions of the Nigeria upstream saying that we are having, oil and products that are not safer for us. All of those reactions has been making Nigerians confused and also creating the fact that there's what we don't know. There's what they are not telling us and the concern. And of course, when you look at the papers this morning, it's having all of this reaction. To your own perspective, do you feel there's also what government are not saying?
You see, if you watch the issues around the oil industry in Nigeria in the last 1 week, you will know that truly there is something that the government is not saying. And the NNPC Group Chief Executive Officer, Melek Kyari, he said something during the ad hoc committee probe at the Senate. He said that when the time comes, he is going to make some revelations or make something known to us. That means, that confirms the fact that there are things that we don't know. And those things that we don't know in the petroleum industry in Nigeria is the reason why Nigerians are suffering today. Until the government decide to chest out and begin to dig into what is happening in the oil industry. And unfortunately, and very, very unfortunately, some people who are within the same government circle are part of the cartel that have been holding Nigeria hostage. It's not just about the Buhari administration or the Tinubu administration or the Jonathan administration. It has been like that right from time. Since the creation of NNPC, and then later it translated to the NNPC Limited, we have never known what is happening in the oil industry, right from the first day NNPC was created. So the corporation continued to move until it now translated itself into a company. But nothing has changed because everything has remained the same until they begin to tell us that thing that the GCEO of NNPC was talking about. There is nothing that will change in Nigeria. The reason why we are having hunger is not because there's no money. It's because some cartels are within the industry. Either they are helping to ensure that the oil thieves are not caught, or that they are caught and they are freed. Our brother Elmin was saying something. He said, who are the oil thieves? And that is the big question on the agitating the minds of every Nigerian. Who are these oil thieves? Because every day we keep seeing numbers. You know, the government is dishing out numbers of stolen oil, the amount of stolen oil, you know, and everything. But what is it? Who are these people?
Have they not done enough?
Has it not gotten to a point that we can say, okay, who are they? And that's what Elman was asking. He said, well, who are these thieves? Let's see them, let's know them, because they have stolen enough. And I think it's a time that Nigerians should join in asking the same question, who are these thieves? So that we can clean up the oil industry and we will be able to have a good environment for our economy to thrive, because all our money is coming from oil, and until we clean up that industry, our economy will continue to wobble.
All right, let's get to the fact that the big story right there we had at the Sunday Tribune paper this morning was violent protests while the North is angry. The writer to the story was saying that fears gamble on Tinubu's presidency has not paid off. Hunger, number of unemployable youth growing. Protests in the North, not just about hunger, but region's interests, ex-reps member, others. I mean, the concern about some of these issues, when we look at the level of the protests in the North, you know, it was taken to another level where people didn't envisage that. You know, when you look at the NSAS protests of 2020, the flagship point were Lagos, mostly some cities, Benin and all of that. But the NBAR governance protests really had a show at the North. And these are the questions we're asking. Is this the same protest that we are protesting for NBAR governance and hunger protests? I mean, now people are saying that there is more to the hunger, is more to this issue. What do you see right there?
You see, I see what one of the analysts said, talked about interest. And that's what politics is all about, interest. So the interest of the North is what is fueling all of this. Because if the North is not benefiting from the current running of the system, definitely they will agitate. It is not only the North. It happens every time that any part of the country is not benefiting from the system. So they will always complain. So the end governance protests and hunger became a kind of a uniting force that made everybody to now start talking about let us come and voice out our grievances. But there are more to it than
because we saw a good
we are
number of
hearing.
looting, we saw a good number of violence erupting from that region, and then it was very worrisome. Flagship of a Russian flag. It wasn't carried in Lagos. It wasn't done in Abuja. It was done mostly in some northern states. So
No,
there is more.
You see, when people talk about carrying what they call it, this flag and no flag, I want to believe that they are just thinking that a protest is a normal situation. A protest is a protest, and protest is civil disobedience. And when people are carrying out this civil disobedience, they can carry it out in any form. It depends on the level of knowledge and level of understanding of those individuals. So you cannot come and be talking about carrying out on flag or flying flags, you know, during a protest, because it is a protest and that is what it is. So it is part of a way to draw attention to the distance. Yes, they might not understand what they were doing.
Because the army saying it's treasonable and all of that.
Well, the issue of treason, I don't know how, I'm not a lawyer, but I don't know the law under which they will be tried for treason, because you have to establish intent that they intended to overthrow the government. Is it the government of the state or the government of the federation? Because I don't know how somebody can even overthrow the government of a state. It's just a unit within the federation. So when you start talking about if they can establish the intention, you know, to overthrow the government of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, that will be fine. We will see it, and the courts will decide whether they are culpable or not. But the issue is that what happened was that people were protesting. And, you know, they usually say that a hungry man is an angry man. An angry man does not reason very well. A person who is angry don't reason like a proper human being. So you don't start thinking that somebody who is hungry will be reasoning properly to now know that this thing I'm doing is against the law or not against the law. That's why you see some people were just doing things and carrying out some acts of looting and looting government properties and looting individual properties and breaking into shops and all those things. Yes, there's, you know, some of them are angry, some of them are actually criminals who just wanted to cash in on that opportunity to steal and see how they can, you know, reduce their suffering too. Because most people are suffering the bad governance that we are talking about. So the government should actually be thinking about how to deal with the root cause of the protest. Why are people agitating? If the people who are looting are actually criminals, fine. Why did the issue even come up in the first place? And that's what we should be looking at. And, you know, the protesters have complained that the government have not addressed their concerns. And rightly so, the concerns have not been addressed. Majorly, what they are talking about is the issue of corruption. They are talking about the issue of subsidy. They are talking about how to have food on the table.
Many demands,
so
right
these
there.
are the things that are issues that the government should be thinking about.
All right. So, of course, with the big story we had on the Sunday Vanguard was hunger in the land. Confusion over 740 truckloads of rice palliative for 36 states at Abuja. Right to that stories, we aren't expecting any consignment after the one received in March. That says Lagos, Taraba, Delta, Niger, Plateau, Zamfara, and Abia. No food palliative received in July. We got it Kano, Oyo, Akwa Ibom, Rivers, and Bayelsa. I mean, when you look at the fact that the presidency was saying, I'm doing enough in terms of cushioning the effect of the hardship, some of the palliative rights. 40,000, I mean, distributed to be sold at 50,000, thereabout. The recent confirmation.
They said 40,000.
At 40,000 now,
yes.
At a 50 kg bag of rice.
Yes.
That was what the Minister of Information rightly said. And now, question is, nobody is saying this thing to buy. And then we now begin to ask the questions about what is happening within the the channel of distribution, because the federal government in this other hand is saying, I'm distributing, I've given state over 590 billion, I've shared 590 billion, I'm doing this and all of that. But, it's not reflecting on the lives of the people. Should we now start having to put a lot of hits on the governors? Because it looks that governors are silenced. We just have the confirmation of that. Some states are saying that we've received, but the federal government, the other are saying, I've given up palliative, I've done this and all of that. But it's not reflecting on the life of people.
You know why I'm laughing? I'm laughing because this is exactly the same thing the Bretton Woods institutions are doing to Nigeria. They know that when they give us loans or grants, we will squander it. People within the system will steal the money, and they will release it to us just to continue to hold us accountable to it, and then continue to get us to service our debts without anything to show for it. That's exactly the same thing the federal government is doing. See, you can't continue to do the same thing and you are still seeing the same results. And it does not tell good. I've never seen a country where palliative is economic policy. How can you use palliative as an economic policy in the 21st century? You are talking of palliative as economic policy, as a policy of government. Every day you are talking about distributing this or distributing that. No, you cannot do that. You cannot do that at all, because it cannot help anybody. Now, the Buhari administration did trader money. At the end of the day, the trader money, what did we achieve from it? Is hunger still not in the land? Why not focus on providing infrastructure? Why not focus on giving us a proper education environment? Why not think of giving us good roads? Let us have good roads. Let's have a rail system that is working. Let's have cheaper transportation means. Let's have power at a cheaper rate. And then you will boost the economy. It's not all this palliative that people will come and steal, and at the end of the day, you are still giving the money to this thing that will never, some of the governors will not even receive what you said you have given. And you have continuously given this thing, and some of them will say we did not receive, some will say we received. For God's sake, you cannot continue to use palliative to run economy. No country does that and survive. Okay, how long are you going to be giving people fish? You have to teach them how to fish. It's not about bringing palliative every morning, every day, every night. You are telling us for the number of palliative that you will now say you are running an economy. There's nothing that you are not even helping the economy, because no free thing will help an economy unless it's a free thing that geared towards things that are productive. Any free thing for consumption cannot help the economy in any way. So you cannot come and be talking about start arguing with the state governors that we have given you this, and the other people are saying we have not received. So it is a very big issue that the government have to sit up and deal with it squarely.
A lot of big issues. I've just been informed by the producers that a Zoom guest is live joining us, Ikanke Abia, a public affairs analyst and an author. The Need to Restructure Nigeria in a Holistic Perspective, writer to that book. Thanks so much for joining us this morning for our paper review.
Thank you.
All right, thanks so much. If you can hear me, give us an understanding, because one of the big stories still having the fact that the hunger protest has ended, but we are yet to really feel the impact. I mean, when you look at the fact that assessment of why the people have protested and what the government are doing, there have been several explanations by government in terms of palliative, in terms of means to cushion the effect of some of the hardship in the country. But a normal layman who's on the street doesn't understand all of those grammars, and so they just want to see where things work in the market. They just want to see where their purchasing power can increase compared to what we've had for the past 1 year. And now we are looking at the fact that federal government have distributed some, palliative, truckloads of rice, billions of naira, just to be able to, help the state cushion the effect of this hardship in their respective subnational. But it's not reflecting on the lives of the people. What do you feel is a missing line in all of this? Because the federal government cannot just start distributing. They have to pass through the state down to the local government.
Okay, thank you very much, Edikan, for the opportunity to be in today. You see, problem with Nigeria is that we always focus on the superficial issues and leave the fundamentals. The government, sending out palliatives to people is not what the Nigerian people need. The Nigerian people need a fundamental, address of the problems that are facing the country. And in my view, that will start from constitutional reforms. Just yesterday, on Friday, this past Friday, a group called the Patriots Group visited President Tinubu at the State House to present a paper report to him, their demands for the restructuring of the Nigerian Constitution. That was what the Tinubu, the president, responded positively to the report, but he said something that disturbed me. He said that his priority now is to deal with the economy. After he deals with the economy, then they can review the constitution. I wish I could meet Mr. President and tell him, no, Mr. President, the constitution is the economy. The constitution is the economy. Everything in the constitution is based on the economy. So I wish I could tell him that, and he would address the problem from the fundamental perspective. The Nigerian people are tired. People are poor. People are hungry. So palliatives, like the gentleman in the studio talked about, it's just a fluke. It's just something that you use to solve a problem temporary. Nigerians need a fundamental address of the problem, and it has to begin with some of the demand. Because when I looked through the protesters' demand, I saw restructuring. I think it was item number 9, as part of the demands. I wish they had been able to streamline their demands to 1 or 2 requests. That would have made a lot more sense, because that is the actual thing we need. The economy, everything in this country depends on the political structure, which has stifled growth, stifled, economic prosperity, and put so much power in the hands of a few people. That's the problem. That's what we need to address. So I don't think palliatives is going to address the issue, moving forward. I think it's, a ploy to distract the people, give them something, a fish to eat, but you don't teach them how to eat.
All right, I'm going to come back to that conversation because it's right there, of course, on the paper this morning. But a very troubling issues right there that we have on the Sunday Sun. The big story right there says, protesters to Tinubu, we will regroup, return stronger. Right after the story says, Abuja protesters assured as police fired live bullet, tear gas, to score through the scheduled 1 million man march. Yesterday they had written to some security agency, SMR, that, we are ending in a grand style. And I understand the president last Sunday, just a week now, had, appealed to Nigerians to shelve the protest, but we still find it that they needed to mark day 10. But in an issue where several actions have not been taken by the federal government in terms of the dialogue, this is what they had promised, but we've not seen, the organizers of this protest meeting with the president. And now they are also threatening that there may be, a resurface of such an actions where they will hit the street again, regrouping again, re-strategizing again to hit on the street. Don't you feel that a listening government or administration must have taken an action, prior to this time, not even waiting for day 10 to elapse?
I don't know if the government actually wanted to dialogue, because right there, when the announcement was made by the president during that broadcast, I expected to see the government say to communicate with us or to talk with us, write to the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, or write to a particular committee that has been set up to dialogue with them. So that shows that you have intention to dialogue. As it is, how do you now dialogue with these people? You want to dialogue. You say your doors are open. How will they now start coming from their respective places to go to the villa, to go and start knocking at the door? Who will listen to them? So the government too should become more responsible when they are, making certain statements, so that the people will feel a sense of belonging. Because you cannot say they should dialogue. Somebody in Sokoto, somebody in Zamfara, somebody is in Kano, somebody in Kaduna, somebody in Enugu, somebody in this. Yes, even though the Southeast people, they say they will not protest, that doesn't mean that they are not feeling the hunger. They are feeling the hunger everywhere. There's hunger in the land. So, and if you want to address the issues, that doesn't mean that you should just say it on air and then at the end of the day you go and relax and do nothing. That's why they feel that the issues have not been addressed. And if you have not addressed even one part of what their demands are, then how are you expecting them to now go and sit down and then say we have ended up with this, we have ended the protest, we have had the government? They can only hear the government when the government have opened a channel for discussion. If the government announces and say, okay, this is where, if you are part of those who are organizing this protest, or you are, even if you are not part of those organizing, and you feel that you have a solution to the problem, that you should write to XYZ office.
Do you feel the solution to the problems are the issue? Because another argument to this is that government does not need dialogue to remove some of the policies, to reverse some of the policies that the people are actually clamoring for.
Yes.
So do you feel that, they are lacking the suggestion, or they are lacking some of the ideas?
Even if you don't want to do something, at least there's a way you present it is something that people will now see a kind of sincerity in what you are doing. Even if you don't want to, just listen to them. Because one way of solving a problem is by listening to the people. Let the person feel that I have been listened to. That's why I was against the high-handedness of the security, some of the security agencies during the protest. Allow these people to express themselves. Because if that had happened, you discover that what the security agencies should have been doing was to make sure that some of these looters, some of these people who were stealing, some of these people destroying government properties, you apprehend them. These are people that you should punish.
All right, I'm going to get back to that. Let me get your reaction, because when you look at the NSAS protest, when I look at the End Bad Governance protest, do you feel that government are learning, federal government have lessons to learn from all of this? Because it looks that the young people are now, so much interested about the face of government. And now, when you look at also their communications, the body language of government, do you feel it is justifying enough for young people to quench some of these reactions and demonstration?
Unfortunately, I don't feel that way. I, read the speech of Mr. President in response to the protest, and I wasn't satisfied with his, response to the people. He actually deliberately, did not address the real issues. None of what was, in the list was addressed. The demands of the people was addressed. So there is no plan to, really address the needs of the people. In fact, even the local government autonomy, that's the Mr. President, which I commend him for that, initiative. The local government autonomy, in my view, which is supposed to address local issues and get down funds to the localities, that local government autonomy is a political strategy for 2027. And why do I say that? Because by 2027, most of the localities will see Tinubu as a champion. And they'll definitely use it to campaign and tell people that they have given them local government autonomy. Their opponents will reverse it, So it's a ploy. If you really want to address the issue of local government autonomy, which is the closest arm of government or tier of government to the people, you address issues like resource control. an administration of governments at the local levels, But right now, what we have in the Nigerian state is a situation where the country, the federal government takes your resources from you, manages it for you, and then pays your allocations every month, meager amounts of money compared to what would have come out from the productive effort of the people. So they're not really addressing the issue. And this is the same thing that Jonathan did when we talked about the issue of restructuring Nigeria in 2011 or so, or 2009. He postponed it to close to the next election. He used it to, run for 2015 election, but he lost. So our politicians have this habit of always putting politics before development instead of development before politics, and that's what Tinubu is doing. It's a smoke screen. They are not addressing anything the protesters want. They are not going to the fundamentals. They are still focusing on the superficial issues, and that's the problem with our polity.
All right, a very big concern right there, but move to that when I get to other papers, what they're really having this morning. The Punch, Sunday Punch newspaper, 1 million March flips on their protest quietly ends. Lagos traders repackaging sell dead chickens after rodent attacks. 27 state FCT yet to set up minimum wage panels. I mean, it's about these are another issues. It takes so much of time. The president have already signed this bill, and consideration of the fact that it has not yet been implemented. The labor are also raising concern. Many quarters are also raising concern. Even when the protesters, even as part of their demands, stated that the 70,000 is not even enough. But have they even started implementing this 70,000 so far? Is an issue right there.
In a federation, the federal government cannot make law and impose it on the state. There are things that the federal government can do, but when it comes to state workers, it is not the responsibility of federal government to go and make laws and impose it. What we should be talking about is that the labor unions should be getting the state assemblies to pass the same law in their own states, so that the thing become a law that you can hold the chief executive of the state accountable if minimum wage are not paid. Now, in some states, if we discover that some state governors are not paying minimum wage, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? The workers cannot even go to court because there is no law that you will use to say you are prosecuting. Only the federal government have passed. They have passed an act of the National Assembly that made it a law for the federal government to pay minimum wage of 70,000. So the private sector, how do you capture them? Now every person on the street who is working for someone, by law, if the minimum wage act is to be implemented, means that there's nobody who is working, even if he's a sweeper, that is working that should collect anything less than 70,000, because that would be breaking the law. So, but the way we do things in Nigeria is something that you don't understand. How can a government that knows that this is what sometimes they don't do things because they want to implement it. They do it, okay, this is your demand, okay, let me give it to you. But on the other side, they will put bottlenecks here and there to make sure that thing is not done. Some state governments were paying 17%, 18%, 25% before the passage of this minimum wage act, and then the president assented to it. The issue is that we should face governance and deal with it squarely, not just all this politicizing of everything. We play politics with things, just make policy statements just because it's convenient and not because you want to implement them. So these are not
it's always an issue.
Right ways.
Implementation has always been an issue. But let me get to Ibia. They are concerned because some states were saying, allowed us to pay what we can't pay. And also, consideration was also placed in Lagos. For instance, you cannot compare a worker in Lagos to probably a worker in other state, like probably Edo, some other state that you feel that you may be going to compare with, looking at the level of internal generated revenue. And also, now that they have signed the 7,000, and it's also backed with some National Assembly laws and acts. Do you feel that, in a way, compelling state to pay the 70,000 may also breach some of the, generated revenue, IG house of some state, mindful to the fact that state workers are under the state structure in terms of payment?
I really don't know much about the issue in regards to how they're going to address that particular challenge. But it is a big major challenge because most of these states, they survive on meager allocations sent to them every month, and they really cannot afford it. So they now have to find a way to address it and pay the 70,000 naira minimum wage. So I think what the state governments need to do is, go back to the drawing board and discuss with, go into some kind of discussion with the labor unions, and see how they can work out something different. Because this is the problem. Again, this is the problem with having a uniformed law that guides the 36 states of the country. It's a big problem. Nigeria is a diverse society. And that's why people like me advocate that even states should have their own constitutions, where they address issues at the local level. Like my friend in the studio said, that the federal government has no business, in a federation, intervening in how state run, their workforce. This is not a state issue. This is a federal issue. This is a state issue. So we need to go back to the drawing board. This is why a constitutional, address of these issues is important. But they keep running away from it because they know that once they address the fundamentals, it will put more powers in the hands of the people, and they will lose that influence they've had for years. So for me, I've always said that we need to address the problem of the country fundamentally, and not this smoke screens piecemeal approach that the federal government is dishing out to the people.
Well, thanks so much for that contribution. Now heading to Leadership Sunday. Leadership Sunday, as it is a big story, Kekere Ekun said to emerge Nigeria's second female CJN. That's on page 4 of Leadership Sunday. Writer to the story is Riwola bows out August 22 as 7th Chief Justice in 15 years. Short stay in office based on rule. Senior lawyers. And we also have a concern. Shettima charges northern leaders on region's backwardness. That's on page 7 of Leadership Sunday. Team Nigeria ends Olympics without medal. FG terminates second one of Kano Maduguri Road contract. Hunger protest, 1 million man march fails to hold in state. I mean, I don't know if you were following the Olympics. There were several reactions to that, issues of proper logistics, issues of preparedness, issues of athletes, having issues of welfareism and all of this concern. So many a times, we often find these stories very relative to us in terms of preparation. Do you feel that because when you look at some of the athletes we saw who came out early to say, they were not really carried along. Some said they were not registered. Some level of some logistics challenges we find. It's an issue where these are minor issues owing to the fact that there were much of allocation pushed to be able to cater for this. It's also putting challenges to the Ministry of Sport to what they're really doing to present the country out there, because it's not every country that has opportunity to reach at that level where we had an athlete too.
The truth of the matter is that in Nigeria we have always celebrated victories without preparation. Individuals are the ones that will sponsor themselves, go for participate in some of these international games, And when they win laurels, we come home and start celebrating them, but we will never invest in our own in terms of providing logistics, providing welfare. This thing has been like that. It's not new. There's nothing new about it. What we have always done is to celebrate. There was this case of someone that, due to some issues, or best known to the people, they denied the lady of kind of participating in Nigeria, and he went to US and was competing. So, you know, Nigeria have lost a lot of athletes in recent times, and it has always been like that, though, that the government will not take care of our own athletes and prepare them for events, and when they go there, they will, by chance, you know, share efforts, individual efforts, they will win. And then at the end of the day, we come home and start snapping pictures with them and start celebrating with them. And government will start politicizing the victory and say that we have done it under our leadership. And when in actual sense, you never invested anything at the beginning of the whole process. So this is the sports administrators in Nigeria should begin to think about how to develop the sports. If there is something that the government is not doing, they should come out and say it so that people will know. Because we can't continue to eat our cake and then think that we are going to have them back. So we are losing athletes every day. We are losing sportsmen and women, just the way we are losing doctors, losing nurses, losing all other professionals to these developed countries. And they are developing and building their economy, while our own best are leaving us because we cannot take care of our people. It is a very wrong attitude that I think this government should end it.
A lot of concern in respect to government actions towards helping build the image of this country. But let me just take the last story on the Leadership Sunday, which says delayed census, sensitive equipment going obsolete as NPC awaits presidential order. That's page 4. A very big concern, because you're advocating for restructuring, but looking at the current statistics of a population, most of the times you refer to 200 million, over 200 million population and all of that. And our government sometimes roll out palliative and out to the poorest of the poor. And then we often ask, what are the statistics of judging the poorest of the poor we have in this country? How do you intend to implement these when we don't even know the proper statistics to work with? Don't you feel that the delayed census by the federal government is also making jobs, or also making things hard for them to do, because we can't even know what to place, we can't even know what to bring, we can't even know what to send to the state, we can't even know what to send to the local government?
I take it that's for me, right?
Yes, Ibiya.
Okay. You see, we have an attitude of always addressing things from the roof instead of from the roots. I keep emphasizing this because, there's a lot that needs to be done in the fundamentals that need to be addressed to solve the country's problems. The issue of a data bank that would have a database of every citizen that is born into this country, so many things. But that goes back again, to addressing these issues from a constitutional level. I'm an advocate of constitutional reforms, and I'll always address these issues from there. We need to go back to the drawing board, to the home, and address the points from there. Because you can't have a population. In fact, look at the issue of security. You have one central police force, administering police services to more than 200 million people. It's not going to work. So we need to go back, decentralize to the logical conclusion. We need to decentralize as much as possible in order to make a lot of the services, a lot of issues that the federal government is addressing, which it cannot address adequately at the local level. It is from the local level that we can count how many people we have. We can start building databases on how many people we have. When you have effective locality governance, that is when you begin to address those issues that are now difficult to address, because a centralized system addressing the needs of more than 200 million people is not possible. So again, we need to go back to the fundamentals.
A very big concern, and of course, I want to say thanks so much to Ikan Kibia, a public affairs analyst and an author of the book, The Need to Restructure Nigeria. Thanks so much for joining us this morning on the paper review.
Thank you. Thank you.
And thanks so much to our studio guest, Ezema. Thanks so much for joining us, looking at the papers. We look forward to seeing you again on these issues. Thanks so much.
Thank you very much.
And of course, we'll just have to catch up on the break. And once we return from the break, conversations where we'll be looking critically towards tomorrow, which is to mark the 2024 Youth Day celebration. Stakeholders, groups have also brought out some drums beating around, signaling the celebration of the Youth Day. So we'll be looking at these issues and concern, also undermining the fact that the United Nations sets 12 August, especially for this day. What are the lessons, what are the challenges, what are the stories behind all of this will be part of our discussion next. Thanks so much for staying with us. We'll be right back.
Frankly speaking, it is now time for Nigeria to see that global TV has come and has come to stay.
Just 1 year. This is a plus for global television.
My take on global TV presence on DSTV, first of all, I must say, is a great feat. And in this new age, it takes technology to take over.
I believe that global TV coming into the arena will change the context of international broadcasting in Nigeria.
But I believe that global TV has come not just to give us anything but the truth and the valued information that we need at hand.
I think global TV presence will make a very great difference among all other channels. Their presence now on DSTV stations is going to make a very lot of difference among others.
Really believe with the pedigree and the reputation Global TV has gathered for themselves for the last 1 year of their being in existence and being in operation, they are really going to change, have a lot of impact on the digital perspective of TV broadcasting.
New height with this new feat, you are actually going to make us proud, especially within the content that you are delivering for the Nigerian people.
Channel 365 is an awesome thing. Congratulations, and I will enjoy each and every one to keep on watching Global TV.
This is Global TV for your current affairs, for your current information, ideas, education, entertainment news at the best. Channel 365 on DSTV. You have just come alive into a new phenomenon in the media industry. Keep watching. Stay tuned.
Keep watching Global Television on DSTV channel 365 for your news and all national issues and international breaking news. Watch Global TV.
International Youth Day is observed on August 12, set aside by the United Nations to harness the potentials of young people, addressing the challenges of young people in the world. Most times, stakeholders and groups have also been marking the day and looking at the context of what young people tend to might be going through in the country like Nigeria. It is imperative for the discussions to keep on, to be on the front burner, looking at also the fact that many bills and policies have been made by government to incorporate young people into the nation building. But the question has always been the fact that a proper engagement, proper involvement of young people in what policies of government, in what concerns of government, in the digitalizations of the current nature of the world is paramount, looking at also the fact that much have been said and with the policies that we have on ground probably may not be enough in addressing this. But we ought to also continually engage the young people and also look at the better days ahead. As part of the activities to mark the International Youth Day, we also have many groups in the country that also gathers to make some impactful activities, also being a way of raising awareness properly to celebrate the young people. My guest on the program this morning is the youth leader of a Kwaibom community here in Abuja, where over the years he has been organizing some activities to mark the day. Much recently is the fact that a recognition has been given to the theme of the 2024 Youth Day, which has talked about digitalizations and also engaging the young people in it. Thanks so much, Comrade Chris, for joining us this morning.
Thank you so very much.
Very delighted to have you on the program.
It's my pleasure.
Thanks so much. I mean, when you look at International Youth Day, some person may say the challenge of young people as of today, is it really worth celebrating? Is it worth bringing out drums to celebrate, looking at the fact that young people have been, going through a lot when they say, I'm going through a lot, I'm going through a lot?
Yeah, definitely. Let me first and foremost thank the Global TV for giving the youth this global platform, of course, a global voice for us to continue to harness our potential and give raise our voice on issues concerning youth engagement. I will say that there is no progress without its own challenges. Of course, every associated issues come with its own peculiar challenges. And to the youth, we are faced with those challenges. And of course, a day like this is always a platform, opportunity for us to come together, criticize those critical components affecting us as youths, and of course, celebrate the good achievement, the remarkable and outstanding achievement, those excellent ones we have recorded as a youth, coming together, raise a voice, as you have seen what is happening in Akwa Ibom Community Youth Wing every year, considering the International Youth Day. So it actually worth celebrating, and of course, we also need to look at the basic challenges confronting the progress of youth involvement in governance, in community development, and the rest of it. So it's worth celebrating.
Yeah, looking at recently, Not Too Young to Run Bill, all of those things were made by government in a way of giving rooms for young people to be involved politically in government and otherwise. What is your assessment to that issues? Is there what is probably being factors that restrains young people from participation? Because when you look at the statistics, we still find, you know, older people still in governance. And when you also look at the 5 young people we've ever had in administrations, Muhammadu Buhari, when he was in his 40s as the president of the country, Obasanjo, you can trace back to several of them. So young people are now questioning, you know, the issues of we are the leaders of tomorrow. When is that tomorrow?
Actually, thanks so very much for that wonderful question. But I must say, as a people, that the Young to Bill, Not Too Young to Run Bill wasn't a problem, and is a very nice bill initiated by the government. But beyond the bill, I always see what is the political will of application of such bill. And coming to, I wouldn't want to call name, you realize when a bill was passed some time ago, and a leader in the country came out and still begged the youth to still hold on, let him finish his own. They
still want to hold it to them.
Yes. So it's not actually the bill that is the issue. It's the willingness of the political elites to create that platform and allow the youth to be engaged. And it's not also a guarantee that the youth involvement is the solution. When you have when you don't have a leader that has a youth that has the leadership quality, of course, to effect the change, we will still be where we are. So it is a nice bill, good of it, there is nothing, but as the youth, we have to look inward and look at our leadership quota, how we can take advantage collectively with such bill and raise the voice. And we also beg the elites not to dominate everywhere. Not to dominate, but we have started seeing some level of progress. Like, I think this is one of the youngest minister of youth we ever had, a young guy by the current administration. So we want more of such appointment. We want more of engagement, considering that the political campaign electioneering processes that will guarantee youth involvement is too hectic. And we need to bundle such processes so that they can be each free for us, considering the volume of cash money for the buying of form and the campaigning, everything. From
the political parties.
Of course, from the political parties. So we need to sanitize through electoral reform and the rest so that the processes could be easier for the youth to be involved, not just passing the bill, but looking at the processes that will guarantee our inclusivity in such processes.
Now every young people will not be politicians. Not everybody will go into politics. So they are concerned about other sectors. And now we look at the current policies of government, looking at also the fact that some young people, entrepreneurs, who said that environment is not conducive enough for them to strive. What is your concern about also creating an enabling environment? Because many years, we have tons out of graduates from universities. These are the people that still hit back on the street. And the statistics shows that the greater number is the young people. So it means that there is more to do. the unemployment rate in the country is increasing day by day. So they're concerned. Government can't employ everyone. Everybody can't be in politics. Everybody cannot be House of Reps member. We have just 360. We just have 109 in the Senate. So it therefore means that there must be other rooms to create so that young people can properly be engaged. How can you assess this vulnerability of young people and also looking at what probably must be done?
All right. Concerning this particular question, I must say politics is not ultimate. To me, I keep saying it in different social platforms. I have opportunity that politics is not a career, especially for the young world. But that should not undermine our engagement, involvement to enhance our own quota. Why do we say build the youth and build the nation? That means for a nation to be built, we must build the youth, because we are the major component of any country that has no place for his youth has no future. So that is why you hear the youth say, build the youth, build a nation. So for us to build a nation, we must also go beyond politics. We have different sectors of commerce, entrepreneurship. Of course, everybody cannot be in politics. So that's why we keep thanking the United Nations that has given us a platform like 12 August every year for us to come together and harness our potential and see what government, developing partners, non-governmental organizations, leaders of thought, of course, captain of industry, civil society can do for the youths so that we can be gainfully employed in the society, gainfully engaged in different things. Like this year topic, maybe I know we'll come to that, it is very apt and timely considering the component. With the application of this year team, a youth can comfortably stay in his house, get a job, analyze data, do one or two things for banking industry, cyber security, and the rest, coding, of course, the introduction of artificial intelligence, the order of
AI.
the day. And so if this enabling environment is created, I can bet you a successful achievement of it will not be a matter of debate. And I want to thank all the state governors who have created a platform for the youth engagement in their different states. But more is needed to be done. To us in the community, I particularly want to thank my president, Barrister Inefe Oriba, who has given us a platform like this year. To commemorate this year, a gadget worth over 1.5 million naira has already been donated to the youth so that we can be gainfully engaged and, of course, promote self-reliance. So this is what we stand for, to take advantage of the opportunity created, and we urge government to continue to do more. There are a lot to be done in area of agriculture, technology, even in education aspects, so many things beyond politics. So that is why we use a day like this, a platform like this, to voice out our concern on those critical areas affecting the risings of the youth, the engagement of the youth, of course, the involvement of the youth in different strata.
A lot of concern, but let's just get to the teams, this year's team. It must really take on the digital pathways for sustainable development, also raising the fact that digitalization is here. So we are trying to embrace digitalization. So it means that there are factors already in. Recently, we've seen 2020 NSAS protests was because of the police brutality.
Sure.
So every young people was walking on the street was stuck to be, a common Yahoo boy and all of that. And all of this. So these are what the challenge young people have also been facing. So it means that there are some persons that are yet to embrace the generation we are. It means that all stakeholders also create awareness so that they can understand the reality on ground. That not everybody who carries a laptop walking on the street has to be tagged that particular name. So a concern has also been brought. What should be done to embrace this new dawn? Because we've seen many harassments by some security agencies, EFCC, you can count them. So it means that yes, it has its own challenges. It has its own negative, the digital era has its own negative issues that it's also bringing. But we must begin to embrace this as what is obtainable, in other wars and climes. What's your concern?
Yeah, my concern is very critical at this point because of the negative notion, in quotes, the war. And then, of course, the agencies, like you rightly mentioned, have a concerning youth when it comes to digitalization, involvement of the youth, And we cannot also say or conclude that this platform could not also be used negatively in advancing in our society. Yes, there are those negative components. But our concern is on the positive side, because we want to grow. We want to build a nation. We want to make ourselves self-reliant, the youth. We want to create jobs for the youth. And these are the easiest opportunities that these can come. So as my take, I encourage government at all levels, from the United Nations, who has given us a platform like this, the World Youth Day, to see how we use this platform to sensitize and, of course, embark on aggressive educational awareness, which is a component of digitalization. With the digitalization, you can even stay at your home, have online classes, visual classes, online courses, and then make education easy to access and possible. This is the function of digitalization, and it ought to be taken a due advantage of. Then if you look at community engagement, so many campaigns has been raised via social medias, application of innovative apps that has also encouraged entrepreneurships, where you can stay at your home, order goods, of course, sell through the use of one application or the web development by any expert. This is very apt and should be taken very, very seriously at a time like this. We have other facilities promoting awareness on government policies and, of course, advocacy, where youth come together in a digital platform and advocates for what we feel. If properly announced and, of course, implemented, effective implementation, acceptable design of such implementation will also be a gain to the youth. These are all functions of digitalization. Don't forget that digitalization itself is a conceptualization that should enhance youth actualizations of their dreams and aspirations. So if that is the entire concept of the system, then government need to invest. Government need to provide the enabling environment. They need to provide us with financial grant assistance at all levels, so that the youth can at least say, yes, we are the future of the nation.
And they also have a role.
But that future cannot be tomorrow. It is today.
It starts now.
It's now. It's now.
A concern about activities to mark the day. What is best to market the youth there? Because other days we've seen Children's Day. People will go to some other children's gatherings to mark the day. What is appropriate for marking International Youth Day? What is recommended?
Okay, it varies, because you look at the theme as declared by the United Nations each year. Like last year, we were talking of green skills. A year before last, we were talking of intergenerational solidarity, creating a wall for all ages. And this year, we are talking about click to progress, youth digital innovation, a pathway for sustainable development. So when you look at the uniqueness of each theme as declared by the United Nations, we see how we can take advantage as a youth in line with the declaration of the theme. Like this year, we're already looking at the digital youth innovation, a pathway for sustainable development. So we ought to now look at how do we take advantage digitally on this for sustainable development, beyond the SDG, the Sustainable Development Goals of the United Nations. How can we make it self-reliant? How can we see it in terms of our local economy, creating content out of it? As part of my planning schedule for the year, my team were gathered at we have 31 local government in Akwa Ibom State, and of course we have 10 federal constituency here in FCT, and we said, okay, at least a minimum, it could be more than that, depending on the funds, because we are going to launch that program come tomorrow during our International Youth Day. The program is about Ibom Tech Skill Project 2024 that will enhance data analysis, cybersecurity, coding, introduction to artificial intelligence, of course, the application and development of website and the other apps. So we are looking at training at least 3 at least 3 to across the TT1 local, depending, of course, availability of funds. That is why we want to use these to call on even my state government, who have started something on entrepreneurs, giving grants, we call it the boom-led entrepreneurial programs, to come and see how we can also take advantage of such opportunity, train them. And you realize with me, the successful result of it will create employment at the comfort of your room. You can stay, get a job from NGO, hospital, or any data enhanced organization, generate data, manage data, and send back to them, and do their statistics. So we need these skills. So this year is very peculiar because I know very well at the end of it, we will take a judiciary, make judiciary usefulness of the team through those training. And locally, we have a couple, one of us who is very good in designing center rock, food, right, that is coming. It's about innovation too. So it's coming to train some youth on how to design those center rock and then food mat, just to create employment opportunity in a time like this.
Do you feel that we've properly harnessed the potentials of young people in the country? Because when you look at some of the stars you've mentioned, we've seen the fact that our young people are doing exceptionally well. When people leave the country, the Japa syndrome, it also concerns the fact that probably a more, a conducive environment or incentive is being given out there. Do you feel that we have properly harnessed the potentials of people, young people we have in the country as it is now?
I will not say yes or no, but I will say we have made progress. But at the same time, is the progress progressive enough? My answer is no. Because if you look at the available statistics of the youth population and the number that have been employed, gainfully employed, you see the margin is too wide. So I will not say we have done much, but have we made progress? Yes. Is progress progressive enough? No. So the government need to look inward. If it was progressive enough, I every day go to IOM, see the number of youth, what I pass day every morning, lining up to do one medical analysis just to japa out of the country. They will move out because they believe it's greener up there than here. But if you look at the color of Nigerian flag, it is green, white, green. And the green is for greener pasture, fertility. So we must make it more productive here so that the issue of moving out every day, going out to our man, Nigerian youth are very intellectual, they are very skillful. So we should not allow that skill to be sent abroad,
developing other countries.
Developing other countries. While there is a vacuum here. Earlier this month, I heard that the federal government wants to start giving a stipend to all the youth, that graduate have not gotten something done. That program could have been initiated long before now. Because of inadequacy, no industry, no production, we should not allow this monetary issue to come and control us. Rather, we should look at our content, our internal market, local market. And the youth are the driving force for this, looking at the strength and the age. That's why you see most of the banditry, kidnapping, bukaramic activities, and all forms of social vices perpetrated by the youth. Are they jobless? Yes, of course. So I want to encourage the government at all levels. If creating a job for these jobless, you will see a reduced crime rate in the society. Will be a great achievement.
It's about engagement right there. The young people are not properly engaged, which is also creating room for all of this.
Of course.
Would it be issues of trust that some people, because when you look at some of the challenges young people have, they have not properly been embraced into the sector. Go to different ministries, you've seen that young people can't even get to some ladders and all of those climbs. What might be an issue right there between the elders and the young people, and what we should do better moving forward?
Well, I wouldn't undermine the issue of trust. Okay, but I also believe in English, they say it's only a trial that can convince you. Design an acceptable program right from school that will build the trust on daily basis of Nigerian citizens on government, and so that government in turn can trust her citizen. If this is done, you will know that the process that brings this caliber of youth to the society could be self-reliant. But I'm not saying we are perfect as a person, but there are methods we can filter those untrustworthy characters and then shave them aside and look at the merits and how to tap from those innate potential within the youth cycle. If that is done, I still continue to assure you, productivity will not be issue within the youth cycle. So the trust is a factor. But is Nigeria also creating a trusted educational system that will guarantee the caliber of the youth they desired? That is another question.
The curriculum in the schools are questionable.
David, very quite. You see a lot of these things, the curriculum that was used 15 years ago with the advent of digitalization of what we have now, that's supposed to be reviewed digitally to meet the 21st century compliance, is not there. So the system that produced the youth also determine the productivity, the outcome of the type of youth the society wants. So it is a huge burden on the government to see how they can sanitize the whole system and bring the best out of our youth so that we can say, yes, we have a country called Nigeria. And there is the leadership within the youth.
It's not just government roles like what you are also playing, and our other stakeholders
all sectors
and our groups are more beginning to bring their hands. Lastly, what really is unique about tomorrow's event, underscoring the fact that proper engagement, as you said, must be done, and what do you really have from your end, and what other stakeholders must do at their end to be able to, because it's not just about a one-man job, it's about everybody coming together to see what they can do to push a system. If what you're doing in your own region should also be emulated in other regions so that we can have the Nigeria of our dream here.
Well, thank you so very much. I begin by thanking our own stakeholders who have supported us in different, for the past 3 years. This is going to be the 4th edition in marking the International Youth Day in Akwa Ibom community. I think, by God's grace, we are the only community here in FCT that mark this day. There may be other youth groups, but in terms of community as a state here, our God has blessed us with those stakeholders and partners. So we encourage other communities to do same, to the line, so that they can, unless, we have peculiar challenges. My challenge might not be yours, depending on locality where you are coming from. So I want to urge every youth leaders across the world to see this as an opportunity for us to tap into and make a good meaning. Like in my own program tomorrow, of course, there's going to be a keynote paper. After that, we are still going to go into panel discussion and look at critical issues how we can take advantage in line with digitalization, youth innovation, of course, for sustainable development. We have professionals that are coming in as discussants to get us to engage us. And of course, the youth will ask them critical questions and see how they can tap at the comfort of their home with such opportunities. It's also a day for us to celebrate ourselves, and of course, encourage by ourselves so to do more, looking at the crops of youth that have done well in area of innovation, in youth participation, youth in governance, in private sector, in civil organization. We see this crop of youth and also recognize them through award presentation. Yesterday, we also had a sporting activities where we played tennis between the Akwa Ibom Youth Wing and the Akwa Ibom Corpers Forum here in FCT. Of course, it was a very unified game that promotes love, unity, and oneness for us to come together so that we can think in one direction and add value to ourselves.
Of course, stakeholders and a call for everyone to bring their hands to deck to us to drive a proper youth engagement in nation building is a clarion call for everyone. The young people are ready, the young people are anticipating, the young people are very much interested in getting engaged and involved. And of course, as government and stakeholders and groups, we ought to also create an enabling environment so as to harness properly the youthful populations we have in the country for the national development. Thanks so much, Christopher Odo, youth leader at Akwa Ibom Community Abuja. Thanks so much for joining us on the program this morning.
Thank you so very much for having me.
Thanks so much. And of course, we'll go on a break, and once we return from the break, we'll finalize the discussion on the program. Do stay with us.
But by your name, you say global. So global is a big coverage. So you are taking a big name but you're starting from from scratch. So that big name, by the grace of Almighty Allah, you achieve that. You will appreciate your activities, your reportage, and everything you are doing. Do it with the fear of Almighty God. Step by step, you'll be growing very, very globally. Get your things right, and then report rightly. And then, inshallah, sky will be your remaining.
I want to go further to congratulate you on being on DSTV 365. Yeah, channel 365 is an awesome thing. Congratulations, and I will enjoy each and every one to keep on watching Global TV.
This is Global TV. For your current affairs, for your current information, ideas, education, entertainment news at the best. Channel 365 on DSTV. You have just come alive into a new phenomenon in the media industry. Keep watching. Stay tuned.
Keep watching Global Television on DSTV channel 365 for your news and all national issues and international breaking news. Watch Global TV.
Of course, many thanks for stay with us here on Global Morning. The conversations will always be on, but what really is important is the ability to follow up to what is really happening, what government has said, what stakeholders are also reacting to all of that. But very much unique is the fact that the presentation we just had and the conversation we had from the angle of United Nations Day, August 12th, to mark the Youth Day, is also the front burner of discussions are concerned that stakeholders must come together to see the enabling environment they can create to encourage young people, and of course for government to properly harness the potential of young people in the society and the national development and building. That's the concern we must have there, and put at the back of the mind that, of course, it's a role of all of us to do this, and we can do this to make Nigeria great and always great again and again. My name is Edikan Michael. It's, of course, a pleasure to have you join us on the morning show, and of course, mindful for the fact that concerned about what we ought to do, what the week ahead of us really means, and what we must begin to prepare ahead of us. So it's always coming in here on global televisions, where we begin the morning with a program and a show like this to bring you the highlights of the day. Thanks so much for tuning and joining us on the program Global Morning. Looking forward to seeing you tomorrow again as we return bigger, fresher, and better. Thanks so much for joining us. See you again.
Welcome to Global Morning.
The death toll from flooding.
Most time our politicians just bring in policies too, for sure.
Incidentally, we have several more stories.
The legislature was carefully crafted to
22.2% inflation rate as of April this year. What does that say about where we are as a country?
I think Nigeria has resorted to being resilient.
Before you call a police station, before they even leave, they'll take permission from
I don't think there's really anything on ground to improve.
We struggled as a strike.
The Minister of Education volunteered and said, give me 2 weeks.
It was a lie. The president never gave me any deadline.